Save the Semantics, episode 195. It is December 8th, 2022. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. This is probably going to be a quick one today. Relatively quick. I do have some errands that I would like to run after this. So, I'm going to keep it short. Relatively short for the most part. It's been a pretty solid week, I would say. Work is work. Not much to say there. And yeah, I've just been kind of going through the motions as I always have been. The World Cup ended today. It was the final today. Part of me, I pretty much only caught like the back end of the game, which was very fun to watch for sure. Part of me wanted to kind of watch the entire thing, but I just could not get myself out of bed before like 8 o'clock. I'm like, fuck that. I'm sleeping in. Kind of had a pretty late night yesterday, so yeah, I wasn't gonna try to push myself to get up super early, but maybe it would have been worth it. It seemed like it was a really exciting game. Some people are saying it's one of the best World Cups that they've watched. So it's all right. You can't get everything. You know what I mean? But congratulations to Argentina for winning. I'm for me, I didn't really have any stake. Like I've mentioned, all of my other teams, all the other alliances that I've had, got knocked out. So I was just rooting for Argentina. I didn't want to see. It was close, man. It could have been back-to-back World Cups for France, but I'm glad it wasn't. Even though France was incredible, especially Mbappe, they got a hat trick. That's pretty fucking crazy. But I'm kind of I just like seeing a new champion, I guess. Which is pretty rich coming from a fucking Warrior fan, but still, I mean, I think it's cool to see Argentina get the most recent one, considering it's been I don't know what the last time they got a World Cup is. It's probably when Maradona used to play. So it's been a while. It's been a while since they got it. Third World Cup of all time. So yeah, good stuff. I was sort of kind of half paying attention to it, but from what I saw, it seemed like a really exciting game. And I'm happy how things turned out, I guess. Despite all the other, all the bullshit regarding Qatar and everything like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's not something that we can necessarily just push this aside, I feel, but I don't know. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. So the tournament, while it was incredibly exciting and a lot of upsets and a lot of great games here and there, I think it was also amidst a bunch of shit that was going on regarding, slave workers and just a lot of anti everything in that region of the world. So I mean, just consider like there was no women's World Cup. You know what I mean? I think that's like a pretty determining factor of shit. Like that's a whole tournament that we're missing out on. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's I think that yeah, I think it kind of goes hand in hand. So the success of the tournament also goes in hand with like just the awful things that coincide with that. So I don't know. It's not something that's like can really be easily be discussed, I guess, but I think that's just sort of the nature of things when it comes to like political issues and sports and whatnot. Among other things, last time I was very happy about the Warriors winning against the Celtics. they had a nice marquee matchup Friday night, and they got the win there. But after that, it's been rough. We're currently on, I think it's a 3 game losing streak. So I said that it would be nice if they went on a run, picked up a couple wins, but that has not happened. It has been pretty downhill. Curry got injured. He's probably going to be out for a while. So it's gonna be kind of rough for this period, you know what I mean? I If they're able to keep at 500 or better, I think that would be great. I don't expect them to jump the standings. You never know, but it just considering the roster and everything like that, I just do not expect things to really improve at all. I mean, obviously, right now we're in a shitty spot. Um, so yeah, I think just staying at 500 for, I guess, the first half of the season would be good, and then hopefully maybe they can try to kick it up a notch once like Curry's kind of back in the swing of things, and healthy. And I think maybe they can kind of push for, because right now they're towards the bottom of the standings. I mean, obviously they're out of playoff position, and again, it's I think they can kind of swing things around, but still, it's not a great look. So I think it's just right now we just have to kind of keep afloat. Really, it's not the best way to approach things, but again, considering just the roster construction, I think that's probably the best thing that they can do. And Wiggins is also in and out of the lineup. I mean, he's been out really. Draymond's kind of been in and out. I think he's gonna continue to play, but who knows? Who knows really? Yeah. So it's gonna be rough, but we just kind of have to buckle down and handle shit the best that we can. They're gonna play the Raptors later today, so I don't know. Raptors are kind of floundering right now. They have not looked good. I mean, they've lost. I don't really know the record exactly, but they've lost more than they won for their last 10. That's for sure. So I think I would say that's a pretty even matchup right now. I still would be concerned because they have Siakam. Fred VanVleet could go off. Who knows? He had a pretty big game against the Kings the other night. So I don't know. A lot of things can happen, and also they're incredibly long, as everybody knows. But it's like 6'8", 6'7", and guys all with incredibly long arm spans, ring spans. I think it's gonna be tough for us, but I think we're relatively evenly matched right now. So I think we can get a. I think it's possible for us to get a win, but it's gonna be a grind. Um, Among other things, maybe not necessarily sports related, but I actually finished Bioshock this morning, and I was kind of surprised. I thought, actually, I wasn't that surprised. I was expecting it to kind of lead up to the ending. I felt that the story was kind of reaching its conclusion, based on where I was at the game, and just the story beats and everything like that. So the ending is really quick though. The last ending cinematic. I think I'm just so used to like JRPGs where the fucking ending is 10 hours long, where like the ending cutscene was like a minute long, and I was like, what? That's it? Holy shit, that was really quick. So I don't know. I expected. I guess I just expected a little more of a lengthier ending, I guess, is what I'm saying. I don't know. It was just so funny. It just felt really abrupt. It was just like, oh shit, okay, interesting. Uh, but I think a lot of the storytelling in this game is kind of left up. A lot of it is told by exposition within the world of Rapture, it's sort of similar in the sense to maybe what's another game? Maybe the Dark Souls games. I haven't really played them, but from what I understand, a lot of the lore is told in kind of within the environment of the game, whether it's in books or items that you find. I guess kind of like Skyrim has that feature as well. Um, but you pick up these diaries in the game, and that's kind of where a huge chunk of the story is told, where you're giving backstories on the characters of the world, who the people that kind of what were very influential figures in the world of Rapture before shit shit went south. And yeah, just a lot of you kind of have to fill in the gaps, I guess. Because if you just stick to the story, like, sure, you're gonna get the experience of the story, and you kind of you understand the plot thread and everything like that, but it's limited. It doesn't give the full scope. It doesn't give the full picture. So I kind of deliberately went out of my way to really listen to the diaries and kind of pay attention as much as I could. I have a general idea of the story and the allusions to religion and of course history and everything like that. So I have somewhat of a basis for understanding what exactly kind of what's going on. If this is sort of like an allegory of sorts, right? But I think I might do some like I might do some deep diving. The thing is, I'm really excited to the timing for this is actually perfect, but I listened to this podcast called Resident Arc, and they do a lot of analytical episodes on video games, and I think I've talked about them before, but one of my favorites from them is Xenogears, and they just kind of went fully in depth on a lot of the psychology, religion, it's kind of, I guess you could say, sort of like personality driven traits of these characters and how they all kind of coincide with one another. I think all of that analysis was like incredibly well done. And it looks like they're going to be doing a series on Bioshock, which is like perfect timing because I just beat the game. And so I think that would be perfect for kind of me to listen to kind of them picking up on certain elements of the story that I didn't understand before, certain things that they were maybe referencing. I mean, of course there are, I can understand, there's these procedures, these experiments that were going on human bodies. Like, you could kind of relate that to like Soviet and Nazi, I guess, human experimentation and that kind of thing. But I'm sure there's a ton. There's a lot of there's a lot that I'm that's kind of going over my head. So I think hearing it from someone else's perspective, and I know Bioshock's been out for a very long time, and there's other things that I could check up on and other analysis that I could probably read into. This game has most likely been just like discussed for hundreds and thousands of times, but I think it would be cool to hear it from kind of a fresh perspective and be like, oh yeah, that's kind of that's really cool. And I've been really enjoying that kind of series and that kind of content, I guess, like on YouTube and just podcasting. So I'm excited to kind of hear their thoughts and kind of help me understand the story a little bit more, because if you just sort of take things at a surface value, it's like, okay, I mean, that's a pretty cool story, but it's not it's not the most complex, I would say. You know what I mean? It's also a pretty short game, so it's there's not in terms of, I guess, side content, there's not like a ton of that. It's just you really immerse yourself in this world, in this story, all the aspects of it. I mean, the art style and just kind of the designs of some of these things of the environments of, I guess, the monsters, if you can call them that, are really interesting. And I just I would love to kind of just delve deeper into kind of the more of the lore and the inspiration and shit. So yeah, I'm gonna be sort of going more in depth with that, I guess. And also, I don't know if I'm gonna dive into Bioshock 2 anytime soon. I'm just curious as to like what they're gonna do with that. Um, I get there is, in a sense, there is room for a sequel, but I'm just curious as to like what you can really do with a sequel. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. It just seems it's interesting for sure. So yeah, again, I don't know if I'm going to dive into the next game anytime soon, but that's going to be kind of on my back burner, for sure. Yeah. In the meantime, yeah, just playing kind of Persona on and off. It's a pretty long game. I can definitely feel it being a pretty long game. Um, I think I've talked about this before. I do really enjoy the, I guess, the, what's the word, the schedule, the the game flow. But I also think that's where it can kind of be detrimental, where you can sort of start to maybe feel a little burnt out from it, where you're doing a lot of the same things day in and day out, where you're essentially trying to, like, I guess, min max your stats to the best of your abilities, uh, and develop relationships and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that's kind of where you is sort of, I guess, a little bit of a double-edged sword, where if you're not into the gameplay loop, then you're probably not going to be enjoying the game um, all that much. But I do enjoy it. I just think that if that's the only thing that I'm playing, like, I think I need a I you know, I just need to take breaks once in a while. And also, going back to back from one JRPG to the next can be pretty, it can be a lot for sure. So I'm glad that I'm kind of supplementing that with the shorter games like Bioshock. Because it's like, okay, nice. I finished this other game on the side that I've been really wanting to get to. So I don't know. Yeah, I think, yeah, Bioshock 2 will probably be on the back burner. I've been thinking a lot of maybe getting it to Hades, because they recently announced Hades 2 that's going to come out next year. So it might be a good time to jump into Hades and see what it's about. And also, considering that it is like a rogue game, that's like perfect for me, just because I can kind of get in and out of that. One of my favorite games is Slay the Spire. So if I mean, they're completely different games for sure. I know that, Slay is a card game, and then Hades is a action dungeon crawler sort of thing. But I like kind of the idea of not necessarily committing a whole bunch of time into a game, just kind of being like, okay, like today we're gonna do this. We're gonna, maybe an hour, a couple hours of game. Then that's it. So that's kind of that sounds sort of appealing to me, I guess. So maybe I'll check it out during this, I guess, period of time. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, I'm happy with sort of my, I guess, load of games that I currently have in my rotation and games that I would like to get into in the future. So Nier's another one that I would like to play. I'm trying to think if I want to maybe play Nier, because I know what I do with games. I've mentioned this before, is I check to see how long it is. I go to howlongtobeat.com, and then I check to see how long the main story is usually. And so from what I remember, Nier Automata is pretty short for the most part. I know about the multiple endings. I that's, I just heard about that. So probably like 30-40 hours plus, which is, I'd say, pretty reasonable, and I think that's doable in somewhat amount of time. I'm just thinking in terms of my schedule, because my work picks up like in a relatively short amount of time after this kind of holiday period. So I'm like trying to think, like, what do I want to do? You know what I mean? There's a lot of options. There's a lot of great games out there that I want to play. And then the big thing is Zelda, which comes out in May. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just excited to play more games. I'm sort of in kind of a gaming mood, I guess, right now, which is kind of fits with, I guess, how cold it's been, and just me wanting to be a homebody for like this entire time. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of good stuff to look forward to. A lot of nice games that I'm looking forward to playing. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of dive deeper into kind of the Bioshock world and see more of what it's about. Yeah, that's probably going to do it for this episode. The next time I record, maybe after Christmas, or maybe might be the new year. Every year when I've done an episode post or pre-New Year, I always talk about resolutions and shit. But, like, what it's just a continuation of time. It's just a calendar year. Like, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? It's a bit of a cynical outlook. No, New Year's is I do really enjoy that time of the year. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna do like all resolutions things. Fucking, it might be kind of. It might be just kind of corny at this point. You know what I mean? Considering that I don't necessarily, stick to it. I think I just need to. I just need to do the best I can in the current moment and not think about like, hey, maybe next year I'll do this, or maybe this year I'll for sure. It's not just whatever. Who cares? That's gonna do it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. This has been Save the Semantics. Signing off.